Hi guys, it's Kelly here, and today we're going to be doing a video for Casing Genius. This week's genius is Rubeena. She's from A Rare Ruby, and I just really love her stuff. I loved the geometric pattern in her last card. So what I did here was, before I turned on the camera, I drew a grid, and then I have this die from W+9 Greetings and Salutations, and it's just a little rounded square die. I measured it, that's how I made my grid, so I would just have to line each one up in each square and then cut it. When I started, here, this is Chantilly trim. We're going to use some of the lace pattern from this in the background. But when I started this video, I was just going to chant my way through it. Then, there was a disaster, pretty much is what happened. So, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting these. I just laid it down with some washi tape, cut them all out, and then I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. Once we're all done cutting, I'll show you the final pattern. I'm just erasing my grid lines there because this is going to be my card front. So when you're watching this is going to be Labor Day in the US, and so it's a 3-day weekend for some people. I don't know. I'm working 12 hours of overtime. Anyway, this is the Lorelei leaf die from Memory Box, and then I'm going to be using Flora and Fauna 2 from W+9. At the time, I didn't know which butterfly I was going to be using. I ended up using the larger one. It took me so long to get this set, and I just absolutely love it. So when I originally set out to do this, I knew I wanted to use that large lace trim because the squares are so small. They're just like 1.25 inches by 1.25 inches, that just heat embossing that one will give me more than enough for backing those squares. So I linked up with some Versamark, laid that down. I did it in white first because I thought maybe I would want the white on white embossing on the clear vellum, but I didn't. I ended up going with the gold, and so I just dumped that on. And I'm lazy, I didn't want to get another piece of paper, so I just tilted my paper back and forth till everything was covered as I dumped it back down in the jar. So yeah, it was much quicker than having to get a piece of paper and all that. So I heat set that, and then just kind of played around with the pattern to see what I wanted to, which part of the pattern I wanted to use. Originally I had done my squares in some bolder colors. I didn't like the way they looked, so I went back and used Squeezed Lemonade, Worn Lipstick, and Tumbled Glass. It was just a softer look, and I picked my colors based on her first card with all that beautiful floral stamping. She had some pinks and yellows and blues and greens I really, really liked. And she always has these beautiful gold embellishments. She has them on her first and her third card. So I definitely wanted to include those. And that stamp just embossed phenomenal. I was super happy with it. I only had to do it one time. So I laid that out, figured out what parts I wanted to use. And I'll figure out, that I'm off the camera. And just kind of laid in my pattern. And the first time that I laid it in, I didn't like it because it left the shaker part as that straight line, and I didn't like it as a design element. So I just popped that little blue one down, and then it looked a little bit more random to me, and I liked that better. So from here, I felt like the Distress ink was just kind of plain. So I didn't use watercolor paper. I knew it couldn't take a lot of water. So I just flicked on a little bit of water and then blotted it off. It wasn't enough interest for me. So then I decided I was going to go back in here with this Pure Color Shimmer Mist. This stuff is awesome. Like, oh my God, it's so good. And it dries kind of like holographic. So it looks almost like it has a pinkish gold sheen to it. So funny story. We were at a retreat. And we did like the I think it's called the white elephant game. The white elephant game, anyway, everybody brings a gift, and then you put them all in the center, and everybody gets to pick a gift, and you can trade any of the gifts of people before you, but you can only trade once, and once a gift's been traded, then you can't get anything else again. So I hid my eyeballs on this shimmer spray, and my friend Tina, oh here, you'll like this, it's completely stuck to my scissors. That ever happened to you? So irritating. But anyway, so my friend Tina had picked this shimmer spray. And She legit shoved it down her shirt and was like, nobody's taking the shimmer spray for me. So for like half a second, I considered digging in Tina's cleavage to get said shimmer spray because I wanted it so bad. But there was a Misty up for grabs, and that's actually how I got my Misty. So what I ended up doing was I cut some foam pieces. I didn't have tape. So I just used my Craft Fun foam, and I just cut some strips and I laid them all down. And then at some point, I realized that I didn't put my acetate on. No, completely forgot it. So thankfully, the Craft Fun foam does take a minute to dry. Here's me pulling them all off because I had to pull them all off. There was no acetate. There was nothing that was going to keep my shaker in. So yeah, I did that, put the acetate on, then built it all back up. I didn't have to cut any new pieces. They all went back just perfectly fine. Didn't ruin it. Thank God Almighty. And then there's the panel it's lifted up. I opted to go with one layer of Fun Foam because I thought it's thicker than tape and it would be sufficient. I really wish that I had done two. The shaker part just doesn't shake as much as I wish it would. So just keep that in mind. Do 2 layers. Don't be lazy like me. For the leaf die cut, I used Twisted Citron, and then I added in a bit of the squeezed lemonade. I really liked the way I like yellow greens. I just do. So I die cut that out, just stuck it in place with some washi tape and die cut it out. And originally I thought I was going to be using it with the leaves up. It's not how it turned out. And then here, I decided to use the Misty to stamp my butterfly because my game plan was to do it in gold embossing. That's originally what I was going to do. And then I just felt like it would be too much gold. So I already had it on the Misty. I just did what I did. And yeah. So, and then I decided I was going to just Copic color it. Really, really, really simple Copic coloring. I was so lazy. I just, it's such a wide area. I did add some detail, but there really wasn't, as far as the coloring was concerned, a whole lot of detail that I put into it. I think it came up pretty in the end, so I'm happy with it. I wanted to incorporate those yellows and those pinks. So I laid down my lightest color of yellow and then went back in with a little bit of a darker color. And then starting on the edges, I'm starting with my lightest pink color. I'm just using really broad feathering strokes because I'm not doing, a whole lot of detail coloring with just this base layer. So I laid down the lightest and then went to my second darkest and pretty much the same thing. I just didn't go out as far and just feathering that in, flicking it on, pushing it like a broom, like Kathy says. And then for my darkest color, I did go in more with the tip because I didn't want a ton of dark on there. Oh god, look, I just realized that totally matches my nail polish. I did not coordinate that. That's hysterical. Anyway, so I didn't do a lot of dark, just a little bit. And then I went back through from dark to medium to light. I added more yellow, but when you are blending colors, whatever your top color is, whatever color you finish with is going to be the more predominant color. And I wanted my more predominant color to be pink. So after I went back in and added the yellow, I did go in one last time with my lightest pink color. See here, I'm trying to decide, do I want to leave it yellow? Do I want to leave it pink? I decided I was going to leave it pink. So one last coat of that RV02 makes it appear to be more pink, which I like. Clearly, I got it on my fingernails. And then this is me over here in the corner rooting around for my journaling pen, the size that I want. I'm not sure why I left this in, but I did, and it's too late now. So I got the 0.25. And I'm just going to darken up some of those lines. This is just such a beautiful butterfly. I think it would be super pretty, like white embossed with watercoloring. I haven't done that yet. This is actually the first time that I have used this stamp set, even though I have been lusting after it for probably like a year. Yeah, probably like a year. So I personally prefer if something is going to be a bold or a black outline stamp, I just like my lines a little bit bolder, and here you can see the difference from the left to the right. If you like the finer lines, then skip this part. It's not for everybody. I just happen to prefer it. One of the reasons I I also didn't go with the gold as I felt like it would be too much gold, and I have a bad habit of wanting to tie my black to my black. I knew I wanted to use a black sentiment because Rubeena does in her first card, and I just thought that was super pretty, and I'm a big fan of classic black, so I wanted more black. I've talked with crafty friends over the years, and they're like, yeah, stop messing with it. I know you want to add more black, leave it alone. I always add it. I can't stop myself. It's a problem. Here I wanted to add a little bit more detail, so I just took that same journaling pen and drew a couple of little circles. As I got closer into the body, the circles got smaller. I just thought it was a fun something to add. After I turned off the camera, I did add a bit of white gel pen to those dots. I had intended on doing it and just completely forgot until it was all put together and everything was cleaned up, and then I was like, hey, weren't you gonna? Right. So, yeah, just doodling those in. I'm a huge fan of just adding little details and things to your image, things that make it different from everybody else's. So after this, I'm going to color in the body. I thought I was going to leave it that light yellow, but then I didn't like the way that it looked, so I ended up going back in with a darker yellow and a little bit of a light brown to just shade that in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut it out. Fussy cutting bothers some people. Doesn't bother me. I find it therapeutic. Plus, back in the day before there was dyes, I mean, I've been crafting since started scrapbooking when I was 15. So 17 years. I mean, I didn't have a choice. There weren't any dyes. So I've been doing this for a super, super long time, the fussy cutting. Here I'm going to start to fill my shakers. I have some just cheaper, I guess they're holographic. They look pink, or they look blue, or they look whatever. And I just picked those up at my local craft store. They're a Doris brand. I think Simon Says Stamp actually sells them as well. And then I use some smaller clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. And I just laid out the little piles and then put that on. Now I shook it too soon. Shook it, yeah. I got crazy with the shaking. I got all excited and premature shaking. Here, I finally decided how I want to lay it out. So I always take a picture with my phone, especially when I'm fussing around with something for a super long time. And I finally get it right. I take a picture with my phone so that way I know how I want it to look. Stamp my sentiment on the panel. The only reason that I could do this after I added the foam tape is because I put that huge piece of craft foam on the bottom. So I had something firm to stamp against. If you just use strips and you try to stamp, it's going to skip. So don't mess up your project. You'll be sad. The lighting here gets kind of weird because while I'm taping this at like 7 o'clock in the morning after being up all night. And so the sun was coming up, so I changed the lighting on my desk because I face a window. So it looks yellow and weird. Sorry, nothing I can do about it. So I trimmed off some of the little ends of the leaves. I ended up cutting it apart to get it to suit my needs. And that's pretty much the card. So thank you for hanging out with me today, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. See you later.